Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and since it's Women's History Month, I'm here today to talk to you about Bandidas, the 2006 comedy western slash action slash heist movie. This was a really funny, cute, movie that I saw, and I know a lot of you are saying, well, I've never even heard of this movie before. Well, that's because a lot of people just haven't. This is a movie that has been forgotten, sadly. And it has parallels to that of the Forbidden Kingdom with Jackie Chan and Jet Li, another movie that has been forgotten. Why does it have parallels to that? Because this is the only movie to star both Selma Hayek and Penelope Cruz. They've never done another movie since this, and to most people's surprise, they're actually really good friends in real life. Now, one reason why they probably haven't done too many movies together is because there's an old rule in Hollywood is that you don't work with the person you're dating or married, and you don't work with your friends because you're working so many hours together and tension is bound to happen and arguments and stuff. Also, if the movie flops, well, then you're gonna put the blame game on somebody. I mean, look what happened to Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez many years ago when they did Geely or something like that. And then, of course, they broke up only for 20 years later for them to get back together. Although I still don't think that's gonna last. I don't know. They were both rebounding, and this is making too many headlines, and something's bound to happen, you know. So yeah, but this movie, I don't know. When I first read about this movie years ago, it didn't do too well. Like it had mixed now the positive reviews, but back then it kind of flopped and everything. And it flopped to the point where nobody just remembered it and just forgot about it. In fact, like I said before, a lot of people have never heard of this movie. I myself would have never heard of this movie if many years ago I didn't just randomly turn on the TV. I think I was home for college or something like that. I can't remember. I just remember randomly turning on TV and then this was on. And I was just like, oh, hey, I know those two actresses. And then so I decided to watch it. I'm like, oh, hey, this is pretty cool and everything. Now, the movie is not perfect. It has some flaws. Sometimes there's a bit too much comedy in it. Sometimes all the humor doesn't stick. The acting is so-so from sometimes. Sometimes the acting is really good. Even the people is really good from. Sometimes they slip at times. The dialogue is a little weird. The women's outfits are clearly modernized towards the middle and end of the movie, and it doesn't look authentic at all. Now, everything else does because it's set in 1890 Mexico and stuff. And also you can tell it has like a small budget. This was a passion project by the two women. They've always wanted to do a movie together. And so, well, what budget they had to work extremely hard. And so hard that they couldn't really hire stunt people and they had to do a lot of the stunts themselves. Salma had to do the most because her character is more athletic and stuff like that. And she had to do some dangerous stuff. It's been many years since I've heard the commentary, but I'll get into some of the stuff that she had to do herself, and it was scary. I would have never done that. And this was her first time doing it, and she nailed it and everything. And so I do like this Western comedy. It's kind of like a Robin Hood kind of thing. I mean, it has tropes, and you can guess the plot, you can guess the ending. So there's really nothing new that this thing brings. The only thing new is that both the female main stars are bank robbers and everything. But it is a funny movie. It's adventurous. It's fun to watch. You can have a good time just like watching it, you know. And it's just like it's one of those feel good movies. And it sucks that this movie has been forgotten because they are friends and this was a passion project of theirs. And it just didn't take off the way they were. And they even set up the end for like a sequel, but of course that never happened. And so with this movie, it's funny that it has both Selma Hayek and Penelope Cruz because um I actually thought they was the same person many years ago until I started seeing people kept calling Penelope Penelope. I'm just like, that's not her name, it's Selma. And then I realized, oh, they are different people. And look, some people just look alike. I know Penelope is from Spain and I know Selma is Mexican, but their facial features do favor sometimes. It happens, you know. And to tell you the truth, man, both of them have not aged since. Like, I remember the first thing, because this is the first Selma movie I've ever seen, and the only one, to tell you the truth. She doesn't star in a lot of stuff that I like, and I haven't seen Internals, and I don't plan on, because I don't see the point. And so, like, because I never liked the whole new god type thing in comic books, so I don't really care for them. And so, like, this was the first movie I ever seen her in. I seen her in many years ago, a clip of Wild Wild West. And that's when I started like liking her. I'm like, oh wow, man, she is gorgeous and everything. And she has barely aged since then. And same thing with Penelope and everything. I've actually seen her in an actual movie. I saw Vanilla Sky. I wish I never did, but I did. And so she was in that. And that's when I first saw Penelope, and I thought she was Selma and everything. And so, yeah, so it's kind of like this is like it does suck. This is like the only movie they ever done together, and I wish I could see more of their movies, but they just don't star in stuff that I like. Now I have saw Penelope in that Pirates movie, and I did not like that one at all. The only good pirate movie is the first one, people. And well, the third one's okay, but the first one was just gold. So anyway, this movie deals with, I believe, the U.S. government wanting to expand their railroad system, and they want to expand it into Mexican territory. And but the problem is, there's a bunch of people, homes that's in the way. So they make a deal with that of the Mexican government that betrays their people, and they hire a man named Tyler Jackson, and he is played by Dwight Yoakam, I believe his name, and he's like a music singer and stuff. And so he's like this ruthless outlaw type man who's going to do anything it takes to basically get that land. What does he do? If you don't sell it to him, he shoots you, and then he'll like forge your signature or whatever. And then the Mexican people sell their land for like 1 peso and everything. And so that right there is highly suspicious. Why would you sell your home for like 1 peso? You know what I'm saying? And so like, um, he ends up taking the home of a girl named Maria, played by Penelope Cruz. Now, Maria is like this headstrong, sweet, like courageous, like farm girl, very poor. And so it's funny because I think Penelope talking about the extensions she had in her hair, and you can tell they're extensions too. And so like she's really good with her horse. Like they play tic-tac-toe and stuff like that. And whenever she whistles a certain way, the horse will do whatever she wants. And her horse are like best friends, right? And so when her father gets shot, she takes him to like some place in town, like a monastery, and they help the people that's been like wounded, the very poor people and stuff like that. And so she wants revenge, and she's pissed, and she finds out that this one man who works for the government sold out their land. So she goes to like confront him. Now this man is a Dom, and he is the father of Sarah. Sarah is played by, of course, Selma Hayek, and she is this wealthy, posh, privileged girl with a very good education. She's been like in France, I believe, learning stuff, learning how to ride horses. She's very good at that and stuff. And this was Selma's first time riding a horse, and she was like a pro on this thing. And so like she goes to confront him, and she passes like, Sarah. Sarah's just kind of like, what are you doing here looking all like dirty and ratty and everything. So they have a fight and everything. And when they have their fight, 'cause they fight a lot in this movie, them two, either verbally or physically. So when they have that fight, she's able to escape. She confronts Sarah's father, and Sarah's father, they're talking to Tyler and everything. And so she knows something up. So they chase her on out of there. But then Tyler double crosses that of Sarah's father, poisons him. And then Sarah witnessed this, and she tries to escape, and she's barely able to. So now both girls are like have a similar motive somewhat. They've been wronged by Tyler, they've been wronged by their government, and Sarah's been wronged by her father. And so Sarah's out hiding out, like, out in the like desert and stuff. And there's like this little dog that keeps like following her everywhere. This is why I say, well, there's too much humor sometimes in this movie. Now, when I said they had a small budget, yeah, they had to like, have their trailers out in the desert. There were snakes, there were scorpions, like you name it. And so they really had to rough it and stuff. And so both girls have the idea of stealing money from a bank. The money that was used to sell their houses was, tied up in this bank. So they have similar goals, but they have different motivations. Sarah is going to use it to travel back to France and just say, screw everything. Maria, on the other hand, wants to get the money back to the people. So they both go there, masks on their face, or bandanas, I should say, on their mouths, and they dare to rob the bank. Sarah has fears of guns, let's just say that. She is very uncomfortable holding the gun. She doesn't know how to shoot. And so when she robs the bank, she doesn't even have bullets in the gun. And Maria can see that. She's like, how you supposed to rob a bank with like no bullets? And stuff like that. And so like, so Maria's all like, nah, man, I'm giving this money back like to the people, stuff like that. And so like they have a fight, of course, but then the bad guys come. And so they have to like, I forget how they get, I think they shoot their way out or something like that. Well, at least Maria does. And they both flee. And so Maria takes Sarah back to where all the poor people at, and Sarah's just being her, Sarah's very snooty and just doesn't care. But somehow they are convinced. They convince her to like rob banks together and give it back to the poor people. So they're like Robin Hood. So there's a nice little, so at first they have to learn how to rob banks properly and everything. Well, the pastor dude knows somebody. Oh, those pastors. And he brings them to a man named Bill Buck. And Bill Buck is played by the late Sam Shepard. And so he does not want to teach them how to rob banks. Now, he's an ace when it comes to like robbing banks and everything, but that's like in his past. He doesn't want to do it no more. He's reluctant. I can't talk. He's reluctant until the bad guys show up, looking for the two women that like robbed the bank and shot at them and stuff. He pretty much chases them off his land by putting guns in their faces, and then he decides, what the heck, I'll teach y'all how to rob banks. So it's a nice little montage of him teaching and training them, and it's like really cool. And Sarah is hopeless at shooting anything, but Maria is like a really good gunslinger. She's like a little bit of a marksman and everything. She's really good. So since Sarah sucks at shooting a gun and can't even hold it, they give her throwing knives, and she's really good at that. Now, this is the problem with her holding the gun. When she gets nervous holding the gun, she hiccups. I'm just kind of like, hey, that's just too much of a comedy right there. Why not have her give her like some type of PSTD or hands trembling, flashbacks of something traumatic, something like that. Not hiccuping in it. But it is funny nevertheless. And so basically they're having a hard time learning. Now there's a funny part where you see Selma holding a snake. And it's very cut short. She is scared of snakes in real life, and she had to not only hold one but skin one, and they filmed that, but they just left that out of the movie. So she did all that for nothing. So at some point, both girls have to hold on to like a pole. they're off the ledge, and it's like a river and stuff, and it's pretty rough. Well, Maria slips and falls and tells like Sarah she can't swim, so Sarah saves her and doing a nice acrobatic move. Now this is probably the point where they use a stunt double or some really good CGI, and it's probably a mixture of both. Because I don't think someone can do all her stunts. She had to do a lot, but I don't think she did all of them. And so she saves her. They're very thankful, and she's all like, "Look, we're not friends," and blah 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 and blah blah blah. Now it's interesting because both girls look puffy when they come out the water, and I think they had to wear like a life jacket underneath like their outfits and stuff. I forget what Selma said in the commentary. So they're done with training, and Bill's just like, "Oh, y'all had all the skills y'all needed and all this other stuff. Y'all just need to be friends and blah, blah, blah." And that's what the whole training thing was for, to have each other's back. And so he put them through all that for like nothing, just so they can be friends. And that's kind of stupid because they really don't have what it takes to rob a bank. But anyway, now they're dressed in fancy clothes that are modernized, and so they don't really look Western, and they start robbing banks left and right. And it's a nice little montage and everything. And they do have a nice little shootout with the no, I'll get to that part later. My bad. I'm getting ahead of myself. So, because they keep stealing the money from Tyler and everything, he recruits an American specialist, a criminal investigator named Quentin. Cookie. Cookie, all this humor. But he is played by Steve Zahn. And so I couldn't believe that was him and everything. So he's like the nerdy type dude. He's really good at criminal investigation. He's already been investigating the murder of Sarah's dad, and he thinks something's wrong with it. He thinks like something's up, you know what I'm saying? But of course he doesn't know Tyler is the person who killed them. So Tyler's trying to do everything he can to like find these girls, but then when they find out a specialist is coming after them, they decide to find this dude and blackmail him. And they blackmail him in one of the most hilarious ways ever. It's kind of stupid, but it's also hilarious. They dress as burlesque girls. And they go in his room with like a camera, a photographer type person, and he's caught in all this scandalous stuff. They strip him naked and they just put like a hat on his you know what. And they threaten to like send these back to America to his fiance. His fiance is father is like somebody into politics, so it's gonna be a huge scandal. And then we find out something interesting about Maria. She's never been kissed by a guy and never saw a you know what. So Sarah's all like, "Oh wow, like I'm like an expert and all this other stuff, and like I'll teach you and everything." So they start kissing Quentin against his will, by the way, while he's butt naked in the bed. This would not fly today. So he's liking that, even though he has a fiance, and both girls are starting to like him now and stuff. So in a way, they tell him, like what's been going on, and he's kind of starting to suspect. Well, then comes the bad guys. They have to sneak him out. They sneak him into where, Sarah's father used to be, and he does some forensic type stuff and sees that it was poison used, because he was already investigating, like I said, Sarah's father's death. And so he agrees to help them steal rob banks and stuff like that. So he becomes their accomplice. And so when they rob these banks, they do it in some interesting ways. Penelope, Maria character is supposed to be like a bride, and Quentin's supposed to be her husband, and they're robbing banks and kind of like, oh, we want to set up a bank account. We just got married. This pisses off Sarah because she's starting to have feelings for what's his name. And then there are times where they're at a pretend to be like a widow and everything else. Well, with the married heist, the bad guys show up, and it's a huge shootout. And we see, man, Penelope, she is a gunslinger. She's looking good when she holds her gun. And then, so there is a scene in the movie, I forget when this happens. This happens now, actually, where I think it's, I don't know if it's this one or the widow part. It's probably the wedding part. Sarah sees that, her people are in danger, so she has to kind of head off and stop the bad guys or whatever. So she gets on her horse and she gets on top of the building. This is something Selma actually did. She got on that horse, went up that ladder, and got on the roof. That was scary looking. And I think she's afraid of heights. I can't remember. So at some point in time, um, Taylor is he's all like, he needs to get his money back somehow, but he's gonna make the money that the girl stole worthless by stealing the gold and taking it to that of an American bank. And so Maria doesn't understand, so she's all like, "Oh, that's great. Let him keep his gold, and we'll just keep all the money." And then Sarah and Quentin's all like, you need the gold. That's the value of the money. Without the gold, the money is like worthless and stuff. So now they have to steal the gold. And they try. Now they have, this is the part where it gets kind of weird. This one bank has a weird security system. I don't know if this was ever created back in the day, but I've seen this in a lot of modern day, old school 1700 stuff. And it just seems a little hokey to me, like an alarm system for like a bank. I don't know, but it just looks kind of weird to me. So they try to steal it in a weird kind of way where Sarah's supposed to like do like some weird like, I don't know, it's weird because they only have like, okay, so they stake out the bank and it's only like one little line you can walk, and it's so thin she uses her ice skates to do it while she has like her little balance beam pole thing. It's just weird. And so I think somebody was on the outside. It was Quentin and maybe Maria. And so they have to use these poison darts to like stop the guards and this and that. But things go crazy, and then somebody's on a high wire, and then there's a horse. And so needless to say, the alarm system rings, they all get caught, and as soon as they're getting transferred to jail, they get stopped by the locals to help them out. And one of them is Maria's father, who's doing a lot better now. So they know they have to get the gold and they have to be on the train. Now on the train, that's when Quentin has the money. He is going to betray the American government by stealing the gold. And Quentin's fiance just happens to be on there. So the girls, they all sneak, all three of them sneak on like, the train, pretending to rob it. And then, but Quentin's fiance can recognize his eyes, and he just puts on like a fake voice. But anyway, the jig is up. Tyler tries to escape. There's a huge shootout, a slow motion one where bullets are flying everywhere, knives are being thrown. It's a pretty interesting slow motion scene, but it's weird seeing that in a Western because I haven't seen that in a Western. So anyway, he tries to escape on like a horse. They chase him down. I think one of the girls gets shot in the shoulder. I can't remember who. Or maybe it's Quentin that gets shot, I think. And so he gets shot in the shoulder. So the girls are chasing after him. And so like clockwork, I think they shoot him off the horse. And so that's predictable. And then so he tries to shoot. Well, no, they both decide which one of them should kill him. And so Sarah actually has a gun in her hand for the first time, and she's pretty confident she wants to kill him, but she doesn't want to be a murderer. So anyway, he pulls out a gun, a smaller gun. He goes to shoot Maria. Sarah sees this, and she shoots him dead. And so she finally got over her hiccup, gun fear thing. So everybody says their goodbyes. The American people are thankful for the banditas and everything. And, for getting like the money, or whatever it is, they have to get back the money, gold, whatever. So anyway, Quentin leaves the girls and it makes both girls upset. But Maria is very upset. She feels like she hates men now. She's all like, he just stole some kisses from me and stuff like that. That's all he wanted, and blah, 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 blah. And like, because, he said he likes the way both girls kiss. And so now she's like super jealous. And Sarah, this is one of more of the comedy comes in. She's riding a horse asleep. It's like, how are you going to ride a horse asleep? And so both girls don't know what they're going to do now. But Maria, her father is alive, so she can go back to him. But now they have a taste for like stealing and robbing banks. And so Sarah's talking about, Paris is like really nice and blah, blah, blah. And Maria's all like, how are the banks there? And she's all like, bigger. And so they ride off. So they head into Paris. And that is it. There's no sequel. There's never going to be a sequel. It's implied that they head to Paris to rob more banks and everything. And that's that. It's a cute movie. It's a fun movie. It's a nice, enjoyable movie. You know what I'm saying? And it's too bad a lot of people don't know about this movie. Now, it is on streaming, but you have to pay for it and everything. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.